Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily for January 9th, 2025. Coming up, the Cavs ended the Oklahoma City Thunder's 15-game winning streak. So we got Andrew Schlecht to talk about it. Wemby and Giannis faced off, so we're going to talk about that, of course. And Paolo might be coming back for Orlando. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys. How's it going? Little bit of we had like a Super Bowl last night.
Oh my God. Game of the year.
It was fun,
of the year.
Man.
Yes.
I got to say, Andrew Schlecht, S. Baraheni, as I just jump right in because I'm too excited. The game had a very heavyweight feel to it, and it was nice. I loved that the officials let these guys play. Andrew, what about you? Just your reaction to how the game felt like before you even talk about the game itself.
Yeah, for all the hand-wringing that's happened this season about style of play, whether the NBA is a good product or not, like this is a great advertisement for the league to show all the general public, because this was a great basketball game. Even though it was a high-scoring game, I thought the defense was superb from both teams. I thought the shot making was just a little bit better. I thought it was physical. I thought there weren't too many threes. The possession battle was incredible, which is something that I always look for in every Thunder game. You know, both teams shot 90 shots. I mean, it was just a battle of two very good basketball teams that play the right way, that play great defense. Like, this is it. Like, if you love basketball, you will have loved this game between the Thunder and Cavs.
And we were talking a little bit about this game after the game. And, the Cavs win 129-122. It's the most points that the Thunder have given up this year. We were talking about just like it worked out that Cleveland actually won this game. And, shout out to Joe Varden. He called this their last test. They passed it with an A. I think it worked out great for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other thing about this, and by the way, I want to say I apologize to the Cleveland Cavaliers because I have been pushing hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the regular season looks like. We'll see how they're supposed to look against a really good team. And to your point, this test really showed what they can look against a championship contender. I think they passed. And I think the way that they passed was really admirable because they were versatile. The way that they went at OKC with the two big lineups of Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, the way that Max Strus popped off in this game and was just incredible from three-point land. You had Darius Garland punching in. Donovan Mitchell didn't have a great game, but they still ended up doing well. I think all of that goes to show you that the Cavs are the real deal. So Cleveland Cavaliers fans, apologies. You guys are the real deal. You guys are contenders. Officially contenders in my books.
So we were wondering how they were going to guard Shai. And I don't know, Andrew, how did you feel about the defenses that they were throwing out there against Oklahoma City? Evan Mobley got some time on Shai. They went into the zone, and that really kind of bothered the Thunder. But, do you feel like, again, it's 129-122, and it's funny to start with defense. But this is a game that was high scoring, but that had excellent defense at both ends. And I just think that that's a point I want to start with. So, I don't know, what'd you think about the Cavs guarding the Thunder?
Yeah, I think that the Cavs probably have like top 3, if not the best shell defense in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I think that they're a lot different than the way that OKC defends, especially whenever they zone up. The Thunder had a lot of problems, especially in the third and early fourth with that zone defense, and they had trouble cracking it. And you have to give them a lot of credit. Like they just play together, and that really defines the Cavs, is that they play together on both ends. But defensively, it just really works. And a lot of it is about Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Like those guys are so difficult, especially the mobility of Mobley. The mobility of Mobley is really a thing that changes everything for them. Yeah. Like he's been incredible on both ends for them. He really had the game sealing bucket for them as well. Like he's doing it all. And the fact that he can guard Shai, at least in spots, I think is extremely helpful for them. Shai still had 31 in this game. He had a game high 31 points. He still made his mark. There's no question. But yeah, I mean, the Cavs did a great job on the Thunder, and still, like, Thunder put up 122. They scored enough points to win this game. It's funny because, like, I think you walk away from this game, I think both teams feel pretty good. Yeah. Because this was just like two teams just slugging it out. It came down to just a couple possessions to me. It was one possession where the Cavs got 4 offensive rebounds and the Thunder just couldn't buy one. And it was a challenge from Kenny Atkinson. And I think this whole thing is just such a nod to Kenny and what a smart basketball mind he is, because he's taken this team that hasn't really changed and has just like reorganized them and put everybody in the right spots. And now they're a title contender. And it goes to show like how important coaching is on both ends of the court.
If I had told you guys that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell were going to combine for 29 points in this game, like would you have thought that the Thunder would win?
No, I would have thought OKC did their job. Yeah, I would have thought OKC. Yeah, absolutely.
They play together.
They do play together. They are connected. And I think, Andrew, the thing you mentioned about Mobley, he's been the guy who has been able to raise the Cavs ceiling. Like, it all relies on Mobley being the guy who can take that next step for them. And we're seeing that this season, not only on the defensive end, but also his aggression offensively. When OKC was putting 2 to the ball against Garland and Mitchell, they were so comfortable dumping it in to Mobley, dumping it into Allen, and it was a 3-on-4, 4-on-3 situation. And those guys are such good passers that they can just make tons of reads out of that. And that's why this Cavs offense is number one. Like, there's so much versatility to what they can do on the offensive end. And it's because those guys are taking leaps on that end too.
I mean, the big to big passing. And I'm not just talking about the Evan Mobley air ball that Jared Allen caught, right?
Man. Yeah.
But the big to big passing is such a huge advantage. I mean, we've seen that in the last few years with teams getting bigger. And I mean, to that point, Andrew, this was a game where Oklahoma City, like, I'm reminded, they still are not healthy. No Alex Caruso. And then the big guy that they're missing in the middle is Chet Holmgren. And, we were talking a little bit, but earlier today, and I asked you, like, hey, is he off the crutches yet? Like, what's going on? Because he's not going to be ready for the game in 8 days where they have the rematch, right? No. But do you feel like Chet is going to be ready come, playoff time, like, especially like second round, once we get into the sort of championship deciding rounds?
Yeah, he's going to play in the regular season.
Okay.
Barring any significant setbacks. Yeah. I mean, I think he's going to play in a big chunk of games before the season ends. I think he's going to play in 20-ish games before the season ends.
So basically, post All-Star game, you'll see.
Yeah, post All-Star break, I think he's going to be close. I think that he's already going through some drills now, and I think that they're going to be extra careful with him. Mm-hmm. But I think that he will play in a good chunk of games. And this was a game that the Thunder have won. They're 19-2 with Isaiah Hartenstein in the lineup. They have not really missed Chet all that much,
right?
Because they've lost 2 games during that span of time. And tonight was a night where you could look at the team and say, yes, they absolutely missed Chet Holmgren in this game. And I'm so curious to see what it looks like, because all of last season it was Chet as the anchor of the defense. And for the Thunder, what does it look like when Hartenstein is the anchor of the defense and you basically get to turn Chet into like Super Serge Ibaka for them,
right?
Which I think it's going to be interesting for them because there were those moments where the rim protection wasn't quite there. Isaiah Hartenstein had 5 fouls down the stretch of that game, and you just wonder, could he have been a little bit more aggressive if he wasn't in foul trouble? And if you have Chet there, maybe he's not in foul trouble. Jared Allen was, to me, the best player
in the game.
In this game. He affected both ends so much. I thought that he controlled a lot. And, I think that if you have 2 bigs, like you have 2 different looks that can maybe throw him off a little bit, the Thunder would have had a better chance.
Yeah. I mean, to your point about Hartenstein, he picked up his 4th foul, I think, with about 7.5 left in the third quarter, and they were up 1. And that's when the Cavs went on that little run and built the lead that wind up giving him the win. All right, we've been talking a lot about the Thunder. Let's talk about the Cavs. I want to set this up because this team every single game they win, they are making history. They're now 32-4. This was their 11th straight win, by the way. And just to put a pin in this, if they don't lose again between now and next week when they play the Thunder, they would be going for their second 15-game winning streak of the season if they can just, win the next 3, which they're going to beat the Raptors here in a day or 2.
They
so that's no problem.
Yes.
But the Pacers have been better, and they got them on a back-to-back. So we're going to see how that goes. But 11 straight wins. They ended the Thunder's 15-game winning streak. And the Cavs are the first team to start 32-4 or better since the 15-16 Warriors, who were 34-2.
Nuts.
And of the 6 previous teams to win at least 32 of their first 36 games, 4 of those won the title. And I want to ask you this question.
Wow.
Because we know it's about getting to the finals. If you can get to the finals, especially with the way that the league is set up, and you got the right matchup, any of these contenders can win.
Absolutely.
Who has a better chance of making the finals? The Cavs or the Thunder?
Man, that is such a loaded question. It's so incredible to have to answer that truthfully. Okay. So if I'm going about this, I think the best competition for both of those teams is the Boston Celtics, right? And because the Boston Celtics are in the same conference as the Cleveland Cavaliers, my answer is the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I just think there isn't a team in the West that can really challenge OKC to the degree at which Boston can challenge Cleveland. And I'm very excited to see Cleveland and Boston match up again this season. Want to see how that looks once again. We saw their early season matchup. I think I lean OKC.
Andrew, do you concur?
Yeah. And I honestly think that like the New York Knicks may even be next in line as well.
Yeah.
The West is obviously very good. And there are a lot of good teams out West. But I think when we're talking about top tier teams, I mean, do you guys have the Knicks in next in line? Who do you guys have? Because to me, it is the Thunder, Cleveland, Boston, whatever order you want is probably not wrong. It doesn't. It's beauty in the eye of the beholder there. But then, like, who's next? To me, it's probably New York. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, if Dallas can get healthy, can Dallas? If Dallas can get Kyrie and Luka healthy, which is huge. I mean, obviously they're dealing with serious injuries, but I think that's the other team that I have a question mark on. But yes, right now I would say the Knicks. Yeah,
I just don't believe in any of the other teams at all. Yeah. And I haven't seen enough Kawhi Leonard. If Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the Western Conference, like he was when he got injured this past time, all right, it's a different conversation. But I just haven't seen enough from anyone to feel like OKC is going to have a challenge. I think
we're talking about inner circle here, right? Like, you have to reach a certain threshold to be involved in this conversation. And I think it's OKC, it's Cleveland, it's Boston. That's that's it. That's the conversation right there. Yes, New York is probably peeking through the door, but that's where I kind of land on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, stick around after the break. We're going to talk about Wemby and Giannis. And Wemby does something every game that has my mouth agape. Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs were in Milwaukee, and we were getting our first Giannis and Wemby face-off of the season.
Oh yeah,
a little bit of a dud, if I'm honest. Not a great game. The Bucks won pretty handily, 121-105. I think Giannis won the head-to-head matchup. If we're gonna give a winner
for sure
in a team sport.
Yes. I mean, 25 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists. He was like, I love when guys are physical with Wemby because it's like testing what he can do physically. And Giannis is like the best example of this, where he's just barreling to the rim. And so, yes, Giannis definitely won that matchup. It's also funny because like he goes up against Jokic, Wemby goes up against Jokic, he goes up against Giannis, and both of those guys are like giving their A game. Like the best of the best is being reserved for Wemby. And you can tell they get up to face him, right? Like, I mean, this means a lot to them, right?
It's funny because like we talk about all these guards and wings that are trying to yam on him, right? Like they're trying to catch him. Kobe White caught him, right?
Yeah.
But Giannis is really trying to put him out of bounds. Like Giannis had a drive tonight and he got into a nice jump stop and was able to just smoothly push Wemby like underneath the basket.
Because he has the length too to like, hey, I'm going to go over you instead of everybody else is trying to go around you. Everybody else is trying to dodge you. No, Giannis is very comfortable going through you.
I got to say, though, the way this game started, I thought this was going to be another one of these ridiculous Wemby nights. Yeah. The first shot he makes, it was a pump fake, one-footed running three.
Yeah.
Just he should
basically a floater.
No one should shoot like that. It looked like LaMelo Ball took the shot.
Right. Yeah.
And it's really impressive. And then just a couple minutes later, he has the ball kind of in the mid-range corner on the baseline at the 3 line. And he gives a little pump fake, goes around the defender, jumps up and is met by Giannis at the basket. And instead of just trying to go over the top of him, as you would think a guy who's 7'5" would do, he does a two-handed windmill. It wasn't really quite a layup because he didn't really get his hands up.
Kind of flip of the shot.
Maybe a finger roll in there. I don't know. I need to see the phantom cam of this shot. And so it's just like, and I keep making this joke, S. It's like, what did Wemby do tonight? And he did these two ridiculous things. But the game itself, for him, not good. 10 points, 10 rebounds. He did have 3 blocks because it's Wemby and he wakes up in the morning with 3 blocks. But he didn't have the same sort of impact that we're used to seeing. I mean, what did you think? Was that Giannis being physical with him on defense? Was it the Bucks in general being physical?
I thought it was the combination of Giannis and Brook, especially at the rim. Like those guys really swallowed up everything. And I thought this was, Milwaukee has been in a bit of a funk, right? They've struggled. I know we talked about like that NBA Cup malaise a couple days ago. I was buying stock, by the way, folks. I'm just saying I was buying Bucks stock, still keeping that stock too. But I think this was their best defensive performance post NBA Cup. They were locked in. I thought Andre Jackson Jr. played a really, really great game at the point of attack against Chris Paul. Thought in general, Damian Lillard and Gary Trent Jr. and those guys were able to get to their opportunities more offensively because the Bucks were able to get stops. So all of that coupled into this like really dominant performance for Milwaukee, and they were able to just roll through San Antonio. And you have guys like AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. knocking down their shots. That's like a perfect bookend for a good game for the Bucks.
And we should mention Chris Middleton off the bench. He had 8 points. He was plus 20. He's been struggling a little bit and was dealing with the, tendinopathy from the ankle. Remember, he had bilateral ankle surgery. What do you think about Middleton off the bench? You think that this is like the long-term thing for them or injury management? I don't know. What'd you think?
To me, it feels like in general, just injury management. Even when Chris Haynes reported it in his Haynes brief, like he mentioned that this is something of him coming back from injury and working through it and figuring out how he's able to kind of get back to the Chris Middleton of old. Will he ever get back to that? I don't know, but they'll need him like that. They need a version of him that can facilitate, that can create off the bounce, that can make tough shots, because that's the Chris Middleton this Bucks team needs. To me, it just seems like an injury thing more than them trying to find a solution here. But what do you think? Do you think it's just injury or?
I mean, look, it's not often that you're going to get Doc Rivers benching a veteran as an actual benching. And Chris Middleton's coming back from injury. I just have no reason to think that this is some sort of a permanent lineup change. And it's not even like in Phoenix where Bradley Beal's coming off the bench and they see it as a way to boost their offense, which actually I tend to agree with.
Yeah.
And this is not necessarily even that, although it does help this bench, adds extra ball handling, a guy who can organize them a little bit. And maybe you see a path to him working his way back into shape. And we got a little bit of news to cover because, the Orlando Magic have basically been a mash unit all season. Paolo Banchero expected to make his return from a torn oblique either Thursday night or Friday night. So either Thursday night against Minnesota or Friday night against Milwaukee. And he's been out since the 30th. Now,
he's played 5 games, right?
5 games of Paolo Banchero. Franz Wagner's been out for a few weeks now. Jalen Suggs, obviously missing some time here. Somehow Orlando is the 4 seed. And anybody who's talking about any coach as coach of the year, and it's not Jamal Mosley, you are wrong. Because this guy, just get rid of expectations and look at what this guy is working through. His literal 2 best players, all 3 of the guys that stir the drink for that team, been out.
Have been injured.
I mean, it's just incredible.
And he's getting like these younger guys to buy in defensively. Like there's still an incredible defensive team, and they're bringing in like Tristan da Silva, who's a rookie, and Caleb Houston, who's working in the G League. And like they're just working with guys who weren't necessarily getting playing time or very, very young and inexperienced. And it's just working well. If you go and listen to an Orlando Magic game, not watch, but listen to a Magic game, you will hear Jamal Mosley on the sideline yelling out instructions, yelling out defensive matchups, because that is how locked in that man is as a coach. I agree with you. Look, it's hard because Kenny Atkinson, Mark Daigneault, they're doing incredible things with their respective teams, both teams on pace to win 70 plus games, right? But at the same time, what Jamal Mosley is doing right now is, you're right, coach of the year.
Look, it's probably Kenny Atkinson. Let's be honest. Look, the Cavaliers. I mean, we're going to close the show with the subject that we started with, but the Cavaliers are probably the story of the season so far. So, it's likely Kenny Atkinson, but in my heart, it's Jamal Mosley.
No, you're right. You're right. And look, I think on the Paolo front, this guy over 5 games to start the year was having a career season. Like, he was averaging nearly 30. He was doing it more efficiently. The team was +9 in the minutes that he was playing. He was locked in defensively. Again, they were playing really, really good basketball when he was playing. So when you bring in a scorer like that, a guy who can be this like hub for you offensively, he changes the equation offensively, gives you a guy you can rely on. And now it'll be interesting to see how well Orlando does with Paolo when it was Franz for those first 2 or 3 weeks carrying, right? He became an all-star. Like, if Franz comes back eventually, he'll probably end up being an all-star in this season. So I don't know. Very interesting Orlando season for the Magic.
When Paolo went out, we were talking about, can they tread water?
Yeah.
And they're the 4 seed. I don't know. I think it's a magical coaching job.
It is a magical coaching job.
There you go. That's going to do it for today's show, folks. Thanks to Andrew Schlecht for hanging out. I know he's got a bum knee and it stinks to stay up late. Thanks to S. Baraheni. Thank you guys for listening. I'm Dave DuFour. This has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.